There are some truths about life nobody wants to hear. Not because they are complicated, but because once you understand them, you can no longer pretend you don't. You begin to see certain people differently. You stop chasing certain relationships. You stop wasting energy on arguments you will never win. And perhaps most importantly, you finally understand how much of your suffering came from trying to control things that were never yours to control. Most people learn these lessons eventually, but some learn them after losing years of their life. So here are 7 hard truths worth understanding before life teaches them to you the painful way. Truth number 1. Not every argument deserves your voice. We are taught that when someone misunderstands us, we should explain ourselves. So we explain. Then explain again. We defend our intentions. We prove what happened. We search for the perfect words that will finally make the other person understand. But there is something you eventually realize. Some people aren't listening to understand you. They're listening for something they can fight. And when someone has already decided who you are, 10 more explanations usually won't change their mind. Silence doesn't always mean weakness. Sometimes silence simply means, I no longer need your agreement to know my truth. Speak when something important needs to be said, but don't spend your peace trying to win every argument. Because sometimes the strongest response is refusing to enter the fight. Truth number 2. An apology cannot always rebuild broken trust. Sorry matters. People make mistakes. People deserve forgiveness. But forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. You can forgive someone and still decide they no longer get the same access to your life. Because trust isn't rebuilt by words. It's rebuilt by patterns, by consistency, by what someone does when nobody is reminding them of the promise they made. If someone repeatedly hurts you and repeatedly apologizes, pay attention to the pattern, not just the apology. A sincere apology should eventually produce different behavior. Otherwise, I'm sorry becomes nothing more than permission to repeat the same wound. Truth number 3. Your reaction can give other people power over you. Someone ignores you, and your entire day changes. Someone criticizes you, and you spend the next 3 hours replaying their words. Someone sends a disrespectful message, and suddenly they control your mood without even being in the room. Think about that. Sometimes people don't control us through authority. They control us through our reactions. This doesn't mean becoming emotionless. It means creating a small space between what happens to you and what you choose to do next. Not everything deserves an immediate response. Not every insult deserves your anger. Not every provocation deserves access to your nervous system. The moment you learn to choose your response, other people become much less capable of choosing your emotional state for you. Truth number 4. Being honest about who you are will cost you some people, and that can hurt. The moment you begin setting boundaries, someone may call you selfish. The moment you stop saying yes to everything, someone may say you've changed. The moment you stop pretending to be comfortable with something that hurts you, someone may become uncomfortable with you. That doesn't automatically mean you're right and they're wrong, but it does reveal something important. Some relationships survive because you keep abandoning yourself to maintain them. And when you stop doing that, the relationship changes. You don't need to become cold. You don't need to push everyone away. Just understand that authenticity has a price, and sometimes that price is losing people who only liked the version of you that never told them no. Truth number 5. A beautiful appearance cannot replace a beautiful character. Appearance gets attention. Character determines what happens after the attention arrives. Someone can be charming and still be cruel, successful and still dishonest, confident and still deeply disrespectful. And someone who seems ordinary at first can possess extraordinary loyalty, kindness, and integrity. Time reveals what appearance cannot. So when choosing the people you allow close to you, watch how they behave when there is nothing to gain. Watch how they treat people who cannot help them. Watch what they do after making a mistake. A face can attract you. A personality can entertain you. But character is what eventually determines whether someone's presence brings peace into your life or slowly removes it. Truth number 6. You will never control everything, and trying to will exhaust you. You cannot control whether everyone likes you. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control what someone says about you after you leave the room. You cannot rewrite yesterday by thinking about it for another 5 hours tonight. Yet this is where so much anxiety begins. The mind keeps searching for certainty in situations where certainty doesn't exist. What if this happens? What if they leave? What if I fail? What if I made the wrong decision? But peace doesn't come from finally controlling everything. It comes from learning the difference between what belongs in your hands and what doesn't. Do what you can. Prepare, communicate, make the decision, then release what was never yours to command. Because sometimes overthinking isn't solving the problem. It's simply experiencing the same fear 100 times before anything has even happened. And that brings us to the final truth. Truth number 7. A smaller life can sometimes be a richer life. At some point, many people stop wanting to be known by everyone. They stop needing hundreds of connections. They stop explaining every decision. They become more careful about who gets access to their time, their plans, and their private life. Not because they hate people, because they finally understand the value of peace. 5 genuine relationships can mean more than 50 shallow ones. One peaceful evening can be worth more than a room full of people where you have to pretend. And privacy isn't loneliness. Sometimes privacy is where you finally hear yourself again. Maybe maturity isn't about collecting more people, more attention, and more approval. Maybe it's about becoming more intentional about what you allow into your life. Because your time is limited, your attention is limited, and your peace is valuable. These 7 truths are difficult because none of them promises you a perfect life. They promise something better, a clearer one. You will still be disappointed. People will still misunderstand you. Some doors will close. Some relationships will end. Some things will happen that you simply cannot control. But you don't have to follow everything that leaves. You don't have to knock forever on every closed door. And you don't have to carry every battle into tomorrow. Sometimes wisdom is knowing when to speak, when to forgive, when to step back, when to let go, and when to choose another road. If one of these 7 truths made you think of your own life, don't just forget it when this video ends. Carry it with you. And if you know someone who needs to hear these words today, share this video with them. Subscribe to Vera Mind, because here, we don't run from the difficult truths of life. We learn how to become stronger because of them.